Hi, I'm Jamie Ananda McConaughey. Welcome to the Tantric Life podcast. Hey there. Namaste, my divine friends. And thank you for coming back for another interesting conversation about Tantra. I hope you're doing well. I'm a little bit bunged up today, a bit of congestion, so my voice may sound a bit stuffy, but hopefully it's not too noticeable. So anyway, today, the topic I wanted to talk about is eye gazing. Eye gazing is a very typical exercise that people do in Tantra. Tantra workshops, any of these kind of places, there's usually some kind of eye gazing exercise involved. And I have to say, eye gazing is absolutely amazing. It is one of my favorite activities or exercises in Tantra. And what is eye gazing? Well, as it says, it's just staring into another person's eyes. Sounds a bit bizarre, doesn't it, if you've never done that before? Um, yeah, and why is this so special? Well, I mean, if you think about it, there's that expression, eyes are the window of the soul. And, that expression didn't come from nowhere. It's absolutely true. The eyes are the window of the soul. In a way, looking deeply into somebody's eyes is quite an intimate thing to do. Both for both people, both looking and kind of letting someone look into your eyes. It's quite an intimate act. And if you think about it, like in our normal daily life, let's say the average person, or perhaps most of us, we rarely make eye contact with people. Just dealing with people at work, at home, going anywhere in the street, on the shops, anywhere you say hello to someone, we don't really make much eye contact. We're not really used to that. And maybe it depends on different cultures. I mean, definitely in cultures like the UK, where I'm from, where we tend to be a little bit more reserved with our emotions and stuff like that. Eye contact it's not really, doesn't happen very often. So it's interesting when you make a conscious effort to make eye contact with someone, you create a very different dynamic between the two of you. And I think it's important that we make eye contact, just generally. I mean, not just for eye gazing in Tantra, but just generally when you're dealing with people, to make eye contact with somebody, it just creates a much more, just a momentarily deeper connection, more trusting sort of feeling between people. And my personal experience with this, well, I used to avoid eye contact, maybe similar to most people probably. It was, for me, making direct eye contact with someone was always something a bit strange. I always associated it with falling in love, something romantic. So I I always found it strange to make eye contact with someone, especially if it was a man. I mean, I was like, oh, I'm getting all romantic with you. So yeah, it's weird. I mean, I'm very conscious of that. I mean, I still have that tendency in a way. Now I sort of consciously do that differently. But yeah, I remember I used to always look at people just slightly off the eye. Do you know what I mean? I sort of felt like I was opening myself up to something more intimate with that person. And yeah, I felt uncomfortable with that. If it was just a stranger or just a colleague, or even just a member of the family. So, yeah, since I've been into Tantra and doing, learning about it and practicing it, I discovered that eye gazing is really fantastic, and it's changed the whole way that I interact with anyone in any situation, not just in Tantra. So now I'm always consciously trying to make more eye contact when I'm talking to anyone, even if it's just a complete stranger. Eye gazing is not. It's not about falling in love. It's not just about the romantic feeling that you get. I mean, that is part of it for sure. But there's another level, a deeper level, or you could say a more transcendent level, which is to do with recognizing the presence of the divine in that person. And you can feel that when you look in their eyes. If you if you kind of approach that with the right consciousness or the right sort of attitude, you can sort of sense that there's a divinity in that person. So it no longer becomes just simply a romantic thing. It becomes a deeper, more spiritual thing. And that's what I do now myself in my interactions with people. I try to make eye contact when I'm talking to someone, and that helps me to recognize the divinity in that person and to sort of feel the presence of that divinity in the moment whilst I'm interacting with them. So when one of the most amazing things I discovered through doing eye gazing was I remember the first time I did it in a workshop, a Tantra workshop, and it was with a stranger. I was partnered up. You were paired up with someone that I didn't know, so it was kind of weird, like to stare deeply into the eyes of a complete stranger, and I just it blew me away. It really did. I mean, I noticed a difference between the iris and the pupil. The iris is the sort of color part, the sort of the bit which is different color. People have different colored eyes and they have pretty patterns or whatever, and the pupil is the dark bit, the black spot in the middle. And I really felt a difference between the iris and the pupil. I could sense that the iris was kind of like more to do with the personality of the person in front of me. And the pupil, that dark circle, was like the window into their divinity. And I could feel that looking into the pupil, I could feel that more of the presence of the divine. And looking at the iris, I could sort of appreciate the beauty of the personality. And, and if you think about it, this is really true because your eyes are very much a reflection of you as a unique individual, especially the iris, because it's a known fact that the iris of a person is like a unique, completely unique thing. It's like fingerprints. We all have our unique fingerprints. The iris is a unique thing, and in fact, they use iris scanning in many technologies. The Galaxy S9 smartphone uses iris scanning in conjunction with Face ID. I think the Apple phones, they don't use iris scanning. I think they use just Face ID. But anyway, the iris is a unique thing, so it makes sense that it's a reflection of that individual. And yeah, so I want to share with you today's fun fact, which is related to this. Studies have shown that iris patterns are linked to differences in personality. There was a study in 2007 by scientists in Sweden, and they found that their patterns in the iris were associated with, on one hand, they measured personality traits. So they found that warm-heartedness and trust were associated with certain patterns in the iris, and on the other hand, they were measuring neuroticism and impulsiveness, and that was associated with other patterns in the iris. They took pictures of the participants' eyes, and they got them to fill out a questionnaire about their personality. And so they found this association. They were looking at specific structures in the iris, and they found this this association between the patterns in the iris and the personality traits. So yeah, it makes sense that the iris of the eye expresses the personality. And I really felt this, and I think anyone can feel this. If you look into a person's eyes, if you do eye gazing, you can feel that the iris is expressing the complexities and richness of their personality. And then when you look deeper into the pupil, you feel more of that divine connection with them. And then, of course, the iris is also used in readings, like palm readings or crystal ball readings or astrology readings, anything like this. There are some methods where you can actually read the iris of the eye and tell things about the person, about their personality, about their history, about their tendencies, and maybe predictions about their future. For anyone who's interested in this, you should look up behavioral iridology, which is like a sort of a method for reading a person's personality through their iris. And also check the RAID model of iris interpretation. RAID is RAYID. And anyway, it's interesting stuff. So if you're interested, check that out and read about that. But bringing this back to Tantra and eye gazing, eye gazing is a fantastic way of channeling the sexual energy. And it's like, if without eye gazing, if you imagine, like, if you've ever had sex in a fairly what's the word, a fairly sort of animalistic way, without romantic eye gazing, you just felt really turned on, you just wanted to have a good shag. You get like a lot of sexual stimulation and the energy gets hot, and then you just enjoy it, of course, and you ejaculate or you have an orgasm, whatever. But if you combine it with eye gazing, you stimulate the energy, you get arousal or you get turned on, whatever, and you enjoy the sexual pleasure, but you're channeling that energy upwards to the higher chakras. You're raising the vibration when you're gazing into the person's eyes, because eye gazing is a way of connecting with love. And love is really the vehicle of transforming sexual energy. So raising the vibration from a purely animalistic urge into a more divine expression of divinity is through love. And when you're gazing into somebody's eyes, you can feel love, and you can get different levels or depths of this love, or different qualities of this love. Kind of depends on the relationship you have with the person. It could be a more intimate kind of love, if it's your partner, your spouse, boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, and you're really in love, then you're going to feel obviously that level of love. And there's also a deeper level of love, and this can be with a stranger, that is not so much an intimate sexual love, but with a stranger, and then even with your partner, you can go into that divine love with that person. And this is what I was talking about when you're gazing into the pupil of someone. And I just remember doing this, where you gaze into someone's eyes, and first you can feel them as an individual sitting before you. And after a moment, you kind of just looking fixed on their eye, and your peripheral vision sort of starts to fade out. And then you're just aware of their eye, and like you're not really aware much of the rest of their body. So you get that feeling of the personality dissolving, and what's left is just a kind of a presence. And it's a presence without the personality. And essentially that's the divine. It's a very, very special, eternal, sort of immortal, spiritual presence of the person. And it's also, you feel the love, because you feel that's a reflection of yourself. And in a way, the eyes of another person are reflecting yourself. So you you feel that you and the other person are one and the same. It's that divinity. It's the same divinity. You are both the same divinity. And when you get that realization, it's kind of like an explosion of love. It's like that divine mother suddenly says, "Oh, it's me." It's like she says it to herself. "Oh, it's me. Oh, I love myself." It's kind of like that. And so is a very deep spiritual love, divine love. And of course, if you combine that with sort of sexual arousal and Kundalini, can you imagine how powerful that is? That Kundalini energy awakening up all your body through all your chakras as you connect with that divine love with the other person. And the two people are kind of dissolved into one divine presence, with the Kundalini rising up and expanding in your consciousness. Isn't that beautiful? And that's what happens with eye gazing. So, so today I want to give you a practice tip for this. If you've never done eye gazing before, I'll give you a brief sort of intro how to practice this. And if you have done eye gazing before, then great, you know how it is. But I'll still talk a little bit more in depth. Maybe you'll learn some more details about this. So you can do this with a partner, obviously. You can also do it on your own if you don't have a partner. So on your own, you're going to use a mirror and just looking into your eye. You don't want light to be too bright because otherwise you'll be straining your eyes. But you don't want it too dark either because that also strains your eyes. So you want the light to be comfortable for gazing. And well, when we're talking about gazing, you don't have to stare until your eyes are watering. You can blink, just blink normally. But when you're gazing into the eye, you want to fix on just one eye. Don't jump between eyes, because that's a very typical thing that we do when we look at someone. We're kind of jumping from their left eye to their right eye, back to the left eye. So with eye gazing, you want to stick with one eye. Just gaze into one eye. And don't be afraid to blink. Just blink normally. But just look into their eye. And you need to create a good atmosphere for this. It's got to be a spiritual, meditative atmosphere. So you can have music, incense, candles, that kind of thing. Whatever you want to create that spiritual feeling. Start by looking at the iris of the eye. This is what works for me. Don't jump straight into the middle, into the dark pupil. Just because if you're not used to eye gazing, you can feel a bit weird, and you end up sort of doing what you think you should be doing. So it becomes a bit artificial or a bit forced. So you want to relax into this. And a good way to relax into this is to start by looking at the iris and just look at all the details in the iris. And don't be afraid to move your eye a little bit, because as you look around the iris, probably your eye is going to move slightly. So don't worry if your eye moves a little bit. Just relax into it and look at the iris. Look at the detail of it. Look at all the colors, the patterns in the iris. And just appreciate the beauty of this person's eye, of their iris. And, the complexity of it, the beauty of it. What a marvel of creation this is, to create such a beautiful thing. And it's extra amazing because it's unique. There's no one else has an eye like that one that you're looking at. That's the only one like that in the whole of the universe and the whole of the history of the world. Isn't that amazing? So spend time just appreciating it and looking at it and seeing how amazing it is. Relax into it and just breathe, breathe in a relaxed way. Don't hold your breath, don't tense up. When you feel relaxed and you're thinking this is so amazing, then look into the dark pupil, the dark black sphere. and just look into there and just feel that what you're looking into is a divine being. And you're looking past their personality. You're looking past their physical level. And you're even going past, if it's your partner that you normally have sexual relations with, you're going past that level of sexual intimacy, and you're going deeper into a divine connection with the presence of that spirit in front of you. And look into the pupil like you're doing a meditation, just gazing at it and losing yourself in it. And if you've got music, just sort of lose yourself in the music and the deep, dark depths of the eye of that person. This is a very similar practice. If you've ever done the practice with obsidian mirror, and for those of you who don't know, obsidian mirror is it's a shamanic practice. An obsidian mirror is a stone, obsidian, that black stone, which is polished, so it's like a mirror. And the practice of gazing into obsidian mirror is about just gazing into the darkness of the obsidian mirror. Sometimes you can see a reflection of your face, and sometimes you see things in there. And people use it as a way of divining the future, or learning from their intuition about things that can be revealed to them through what they see in the depths of that obsidian mirror. And I like to do that practice of looking into the obsidian mirror, and I find it very similar to eye gazing when you look into that dark sphere of the pupil, and you just look into those depths. And as you go into that meditative state, you can see things come up, intuitions, divine inspirations, maybe sometimes information, maybe things about the person who's in front of you, or things about yourself. And the most beautiful thing is just to feel that you and the other person in front of you are the one and the same. You are the divine. It's like, as I said earlier, it's the Divine Mother is appreciating herself when you're doing the eye gazing. She's just like enjoying being herself and looking at the beauty of herself. And she's just saying, "Oh, I'm so beautiful." And that's the oneness of being divine. And you feel that with the eye gazing. So, yeah, that's the practice that I recommend. I absolutely love eye gazing. Absolutely love it. If you're not used to eye gazing, it can feel uncomfortable in the beginning, because it's quite an intimate thing to do. You can feel quite vulnerable, like if you're not used to looking in people's eyes, because you're sort of opening your soul. But it's okay, because remember that it's your divinity within you that is opening up to the divinity in the other person. So don't worry about if you're afraid to get vulnerable, because you're not opening up your secrets. You're not opening up your insecurities and fears to the other person, although it may feel like that. But in reality, you're not. Those are things of the ego. Those are things of your conditioning from your upbringing or from your past. And in eye gazing, we go beyond that. We go way beyond that. We leave that behind. So we're not, if you feel sort of nervous, uncomfortable, or vulnerable because of your insecurities, or because of memories or traumas you've had, just remember that you're going beyond that. You're going into a divine connection. You're going into that divine presence where you and the other person are the one and the same divine. You're both doing that together. So, yeah, don't worry if you feel uncomfortable in the beginning. Just go at your own pace. And if you feel uncomfortable, tell the other person, express it to them. And they should understand if they're into Tantra and they're open to all this kind of stuff. So to wrap up today's episode, I have a fun little thing that I'm going to add on to the end of the episode, which is chanting mantras, which is one of my favourite practices. And today we're going to be chanting to Lord Shiva. And as I've mentioned before in the previous episode, I always start off by doing an invocation to all the gods and goddesses. Well, not all of them, because there's like literally hundreds of thousands of them. But just to some of the principal gods and goddesses, I do an invocation and chant to each one to invite them to be present in my mind as I start to chant the Shiva mantra. And then you can just listen to the Shiva mantra. If you enjoy this chanting, just listen to it, go along with it. If chanting's not your thing, well, you can just switch off the podcast now. But if you like it, yeah, just enjoy it. And I love the Shiva mantra because the Shiva energy, the energy of Lord Shiva is so powerful. It's a very transcendent energy. Is the masculine energy of. It's like the stillness before the creation. That's how I feel the Shiva energy. You know, this image of him sitting in meditation. That's his energy. He's sitting at the top of the Himalayas in stillness, in meditation. Around him, he's often depicted with lightning and thunderstorms, like, the raw power of nature. But he himself is the center and the stillness, and that's the transcendent energy of Lord Shiva. Before the creation happens, because then with the creation, Lord Shiva merges with Shakti, the divine, and the two of them give rise to creation, and that's where you get movement, you get dynamic, you get energy and kundalini. But before that, he is sitting in stillness, in transcendent meditation. And that is very much the energy of this mantra that I'm chanting today. So, yeah, listen to it. Just as I've mentioned before, when you're chanting mantras or listening to mantras, you don't have to worry too much about what they actually mean word for word. Remember, these mantras are ancient mantras that have come from thousands of years, and they carry with them a very ancient vibration, a powerful vibration, which sages and masters have used over the ages. So just listen and tune into that sound and that vibration, and you'll feel it like in the depths of your being. So yeah, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode and found something interesting here. So take care, have a blessed day, and thank you for listening, and I'll be back again with more interesting stuff about Tantra in the next episode. Namaste. Ekadantaya vitmahe vakrutundaya dhimahi tanno thundi prachodyato gam ganapataye namaha. Om Triambakam yajamahe sugandham pushtavardhanam urvarukam avabandanat matyamukshayam amratat. Om Shivaya namaha. Om Ganambakaya Vitmahe Mahatapaya Dhimahi Tanno Duki Prachodyato Om Dum Dugahaya Namaha. Om Aim Hrim Shrim Klim Chamandaya Viche Chamundai viche Om Mahabhadrakali Namaha Om Kalikaya cha Vitmahi Samasavasana Dhimahi Tanno Akura Prachodayat Om Mahabhadrakali Namaha Om Narayanaya Vitmahi Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat Om Namo Narayanahi Namaha Om Mahalakshmi cha Vitmahi Vishnu Patriya Dhimahi Tanno Lakshmi Prachodayat Om Mahalakshmi Namaha Ya Kundandutta Charaharavala Ya Shupravasra Vruta Ya Vina Vardhanyamannitakara Ya Sveta Padmasana Ya Brahmachuta Shankara Prabhutirithvyai Sada Vandita Samambatu Saraswati Bhagavati Nisheshayatyapaha Om Shatananaya Vitmahi Shakti Hastaya Dhimahi Tanno Skanda Prachodayat Om Subramanyaya Namaha Om Bhuvaswaha Tatsavitu Varanyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yohana Prachodayat Om Tatsat Hari Om. Namah Triambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam Uravarukamavavandanat mrityamukshayamamretat Om Shivaya Namaha Om Triambakam yajamahe Sugandhim pushtivardhanam Uravarukamavavandanat mrityamukshayamamretat Om Shivaya Namaha Om Triambakam yajamahe Sugandhim pushtivardhanam Uravarukamavavandanat mrityamukshayamamretat Om Shivaya Namaha Om Triambakam yajamahe Sugandhim pushtivardhanam Urvairukamavabandhanat mrityumukshyaamamritat. Om Shivaya Namaha. Om